Let's now take a look at what the Eagles are working with in the draft. They have those 3 first-rounders as well as 3 fifth-rounders, then 1 pick in each of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th rounds. They got left out of all those superstar swaps. So how will they deploy their picks? Ray, what's your philosophy here? What do you think?
Well, I think we've seen Howie Roseman long enough to know that I think it's highly unlikely that he's just going to sit in place and just let the draft come to him and pick 15, 16, 19. I think he's going to wheel and deal. He's got the players. He's got the cards to play at that table. So I think that's what he's going to do. Me personally,
yes.
To me, there are so many good players in this draft. At areas where this team needs help, I would have no problem using all 3 of them to pick players to fortify your team right now.
Reuben, any fear that Howie might overthink it, as we've seen?
Howie's made 33 draft day trades since he became GM in 2010, minus 2015. He's only kept 4 of his first-round picks.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, the odds say he's going to move around, and he might move into next year. He might move up, might move down. I think the odds are slim he stays at the 3 picks that they're at. But like Ray said, there's certainly value in doing that, and you can certainly make a compelling case that that's the way to proceed.
Barrett, what are you thinking as you look at this bevy of picks?
You got to spend them on these 3 first rounds. I know it's not likely, but you go ahead and you stay with these 3 first rounders. They could be, you know,
don't worry about next season.
Yeah,
don't worry about next season.
That's what I'm saying. They could be franchise-changing guys that you could build from. I mean, I hate to say it, but look at Dallas. They've got guys in there that are franchise-changing guys. They got Diggs. They went on, got Michael Parsons. These are all guys that they brought up. They are bringing up through the fold. You got to have these players in order to change your team and make it an impactful type of team. The young guys get better. Use your draft picks and start keeping guys. I'm tired of the Pumphreys coming into town and then, you know, having to leave because they can't play.
They kept Derek Barnett.
He was a 4th-round pick 10 years ago.
What y'all want me to do, man?
Barrett just wants some consistency, right?
Yes.
He just
Keep
wants some
somebody
consistency.
here. Yes.
All right. Last week I asked for the one player that the guys think the Eagles should target. Rube said Kyle Hamilton. Barrett said Devin Lloyd. This week I want to know who you think is most likely that they actually do pick in the first round. Ray, who are you thinking?
I'm going to take a flyer on Jordan Davis. I just think that
he was at the Maxwell Awards.
Yeah, he was.
What was he like seeing him in person?
He was even bigger than I thought.
Bigger than me.
He's a massive guy. He's 6'6". He played at 350 this year at Georgia. He trimmed down to 330 to go to the combine, which allowed him to run a 4.8 40, which is just ridiculous. But if you watch his tape, you see how good this guy is. Unblockable, eats up double teams. And the other thing that I think is really important, taking the next step, is he's not just a run stuffer. I mean, he's a guy that is so quick off the ball that he will give you pass rush. He is a guy who will collapse the pocket. So now the only question to me is, will he be there for the Eagles at 15, or would you have to go up and get him? I think there's about a 50-50 chance he may be sitting there waiting for them at 15, and if that's true, I would take him.
Rube, you going with the space eater? You think that's the guy to actually draft? Davis?
It's tempting. My guy is Jermaine Johnson, a former Florida guy who ended up at Florida State. Everybody was at Georgia. It's unbelievable. You know, edge rushers, you just can't have enough edge rushers. And when you look at this team, their flaw last year, their biggest flaw really for years has been not getting to the quarterback. And we could talk about all these quarterbacks that completed 80% of their passes and blame Gannon and blame the secondary. But if you don't get pressure on quarterbacks in the modern NFL, they're going to pick you apart. And that's what happened. And, you know, they haven't drafted an elite edge rusher since Trent Cole. That was 17 years ago. And their last edge rusher who was even double digits in sacks was Connor Barwin. That was 8 years ago in 2014. So, look, I like the Reddick pickup. Josh Sweat had a solid second half of the year. He did make the Pro Bowl, but you need an elite edge rusher. Jermaine Johnson is that. He's got those long arms, that big frame. He's great against the run. He's a smart, instinctive player. He's a little older. He's 23, so maybe his ceiling isn't as high as some of the younger guys who have more room to develop, but he's a guy who could stick in there right from day one. and he's going to get your sacks, he's going to stop the run, and he's going to be a star for this team.
Barrett, it looks like you're staying on the defensive side.
No question. You see Devontae Wyatt there. Now, you talk about that Georgia defense. The guy that really was the glue to keep that defense together, who generated pressure up the middle. I mean, look here, he blocks kicks. He did everything for this Georgia defense, which allowed him to be so successful. Yes, you see Davis on one side. You see he was the one that was getting those double teams and triple teams, which allowed Davis to go out there and eat. So I want Devontae Wyatt. We're getting a little thin in the interior of that defense. We don't have all the talent we had there before. We need to replenish the ranks. Get a guy like Wyatt in there. He can make a difference in this defense.